I think I'll take the B part of the question. Why is it not domesticated into other languages? It is. In Benue State, this law, you can have it in Tiv, in Idoma, and in Igede. Those are the three major languages that we have. The law is already in those three languages. Of course, we've not yet gotten the law into Hausa. It's yet to be translated into Yoruba, Igbo, Ishekiri, Ijo, and those other languages, but that's part of the process that it's coming. In fact, when you see the role of the Department of Agriculture that is in charge of the implementation of the law, that is on page 8 of the handbook on the law, functions of the department, that is section 8, section 18 of the law. There is so much about enlightenment in that subsection. A lot. In fact, that's a subsection that has the longest of a breakdown as to what is supposed to happen.
Can we take it to, number by number, by A, B? Let's explain how that, because it's a big challenge.
Yes.
Because people don't really, from what I'm saying,
yes.
I don't know if any others actually have a copy.
A lot of people who make comments on Benue's, what they call the anti-open grazing law, they've never read the law. The titling of the law created a problem because they highlighted anti-open grazing, while actually it's more of a ranching law, ranching and livestock management law. When we, as the activists, were working hard from 2015 through 2016 until we got the law through in 2017 by the governor of Benue State, the former governor, coming to work along with us, our intention was not about just hindering people from rearing livestock in Benue State. Our intention was to make a huge cooperation between the crop farmers and the livestock farmers. Whether you are an indigenous of Benue State, or whether you are a non-indigenous of Benue State, whether you're a Nigerian national, or you're coming from any part of the world. If you look at the law, right from the opening, the first section of the law, of course, has to be the short title of the law and its commencement. The second section is on definitions, so it gives all the definitions about the key terms that are used in the law. Page 3 of the law, you see the objectives of the law. The objectives are very straightforward. The first objective is to prevent the destruction of crop farms, community ponds, settlements, and property by open rearing and grazing of livestock. That's one. Number 2 is prevent clashes between nomadic livestock herders and crop farmers. Number 3 is protect the environment from degradation and pollution caused by open rearing and overgrazing of livestock. Yes.
Prevent clashes between nomadic livestock herders and crop farmers.
Yes.
This is the point that have been generating a lot of problem between both parties.
Yes.
I was thinking that why just people with this.
Yes.
How will people understand that the law is protecting both parties?
Exactly. That is why by the time you go inside into where you are dealing with the management, the functions of the department to manage the law, that is on page 8. You are going from A, B, C, right to P. Every aspect of anybody who is, you are a farmer in livestock, whatever kind of livestock, whether it's cattle, sheep, goat, pigs, poultry, turkey, whatever it is, as long as it is livestock, the emphasis is that you are supposed to get a ranch. If you are an indigenous of Benue State and you already have your own land, then you don't need to apply to government. But you have, for instance, you are coming from Lagos, or you're coming from Rivers, or you're coming from Sokoto, or you're coming from Plateau State to Benue State, or you're coming from Niger, or coming from Cameroon into Benue, and you want to have a ranch, then you simply apply to the community where you want to get your ranch sited. You meet with the owner of the land, because every land in Nigeria is owned by somebody. There's no vacant land. The moment you start work on any part of land, any piece of land in Nigeria, the owner will surface. So you go to the owner, then the owner will take you to the community head. The community head will meet with you and talk about what you want to do, how much land do you want, and how you want to use it, what kind of livestock farming do you want to do. Then they will bring in the local government chairman, and they will hold a meeting. If they see that your request is good, the local government chairman and the community plus the landowner will now send your application to the state, to the Department of Agriculture. That department will now forward it to the commissioner. Then they will call in a professional company that will do an environmental impact assessment, because there's no ranch that will be set up without an environmental impact assessment being done. So when the environmental impact assessment is done, then it goes back now to the governor. And the governor calls a meeting of everybody involved, and they say, okay, we are satisfied with this application. Then he gives a go-ahead. Then the Department of Agriculture issues you a rancher's permit. You have a permit. Now, when that permit is given to you, you give the Department of Agriculture the parameters of your ranch. What is the size? What kind of livestock are you keeping there? Then they give you a full guideline. Most people who talk about this issue of anti-open grazing law in Benue State have never looked at the guidelines that are given. They tell you the kind of, if it's a very modern ranch you want to do, they'll give you the basic things that should be in a very modern ranch. If it is a simple paddock or simple kind of a ranch, they tell you what is necessary. Then they tell you guidelines about security, guidelines about your staff, guidelines about water provision, guidelines about how you are to do your perimeter fencing. All those guidelines are there with the Department of Agriculture.
Let's go to the objective
yes.
C.
Objective C.
Yeah.
So now you were talking about that first the objective B, the issue of stopping clashes between, because see, the law came because there was so much of problem of trespassing on private property by people who rear livestock. And these are Benue people, Nigerians, and non-Nigerians. So the offending activities were not just coming from a particular group, it was widespread. And Benue said, no, if we're going to stop this situation where there are constant clashes between crop farmers and herders from anywhere, then the best thing is to go back to what Benue State has started long ago. During the lifespan of the first civilian governor in Benue State, the late Aparaku, he had 5 ranches in Benue State. We're one of the earliest states in Nigeria that established ranches. So we're already used to the concept of ranching in Benue State. So we say, let's get back to ranches and get these people to be in ranching, because Benue is highly, heavily an agricultural state. And agriculture is both crop farming and livestock farming. So the law came to make life easy for both the herders and those who do crop farming. So it was not to block anybody. Then, but as I told you, when you look at the various guidelines placed,
I want us to take the B.
good. The C of it, protect the environment from degradation and pollution caused by open grazing, open rearing, and overgrazing of livestock. Of course, you know that where grazing is just done anyhow, haphazardly, you'll find right here where you are now. Your pigs could be inside this compound. Your poultry, your turkeys, your dogs, your donkeys, your goats, your cows could all be here. So the thing is to restrict them, and particularly the aspect of overgrazing. Heavy animals that are many in number cause a lot of overgrazing. And we know part of what has happened in the far northern part of the country. Overgrazing has caused a lot of loss of the topsoil, loss of the vegetation. Now the desert encroachment is real. And with the climate change, the problem of overgrazing is something that is real, and we need to take it into consideration. So Benue, we don't want a situation where livestock goes around anyhow. They are restricted in ranches. Then you can manage the soil condition in those ranches, so that those who are keeping livestock, they manage the soil and the environment in that ranch, while those who are handling ordinary crop farming manage what they have on their crops. So it's a win-win kind of a situation. And then remember that for people who run ranches, a lot of the fodder they use for their livestock comes from the crop farmers. So there's always a traditional symbiotic relationship between the crop farmer and the livestock farmer.